It's Neil Atkinson, Adam Smith, in the sunshine, that glorious, famous Liverpudlian February sunshine. It doesn't get sunnier than this. If we are squinting, we apologise, but Liverpool is resplendent that way. It's resplendent that way. There's blue skies everywhere we look. I'm overdressed. Are you overdressed?
I don't know really, because the t-shirt felt too cold or the jumper feels too warm, so maybe I should have gone with like one of them halfy t-shirt combinations. Maybe we could have done.
Yeah. We've also got fairy microphones on. Makes me feel like I'm Bob Carroll-G's, one for the teenagers there. Let's have a chat about Brendan Rodgers then. Brendan Rodgers is going to leave Celtic to take over Leicester. I'm really intrigued by this. I'm intrigued by it on every level. I thought he might try and hang on till the summer, that maybe Brendan might try and hang on till the summer, get one more league winners medal. Maybe he's thought that league's in the bag, I'll go and look after these boys.
Yeah, you see, I wondered, one of my best mates is a Leicester fan and he's been down this weekend and we were having a chat about it. And what he was saying was that he wanted them to wait till the summer and go for Rafa. And I wonder whether the Leicester board have looked at it and been like, we could wait for the summer. Ashley could actually sell Newcastle, somebody else could go in and Rafa could be like, well, I'm going to stick here now because this is where I want to be and I love it here and it's only really Ashley that's driving me away. And then the stuff go, well, what do we do? Because maybe Rodgers by that point has got another offer or whatever. Yeah. So I think they're probably torn between the two and they thought we can either go Rodgers now or go for Rafa in the summer and maybe miss out on him, and they thought Rodgers now was the better
or maybe
answer.
Maybe they also thought, I think there's something in the idea of, they just think giving someone 8 weeks now to learn everything about the players, plan for the summer, is actually better than the idea that someone just comes in anyway.
I think that's probably true. I think, and we've seen that before as well, haven't we? You know, I think you see it time and again in clubs where you think, why have they done that now? And the answer is because they're not bothered about the rest of the season. Leicester are probably safe. You know, they're not mathematically, but they're maybe 2 wins away from being safe in the remaining games, aren't they? And they haven't won this year, I want to say. I feel like Ian told me they haven't won it since the turn of the year. So yeah, I think maybe it is a matter of getting him in, letting him have a look at the squad, letting him decide who he wants to keep and who he doesn't, and maybe also letting the players decide, do we want to play for this fella or not, and giving everybody a chance for over the next few games, so that in the summer they can go, right, these are the players we want to bring in.
I think it's a really good choice. I think it's a really exciting choice for them. One of my big things on it would be that they've got a lot of young footballers, and Brendan Rodgers, when he was at Liverpool, was one of the best developers of individual young footballers I've ever seen. You know, the number of elite footballers he got to become significantly better was in there. I think they can go, you know, I think if they were confused between Rodgers and Benitez, I think there's every chance Rodgers and Benitez for the next couple of seasons get similar points hauls, but that maybe with Rodgers you get a few more laughs, and I mean that with the greatest respect. It might be that with Benitez you might be a bit more likely to get a cup, maybe with Rodgers you get a few more laughs.
Yeah, I think that's very fair, and I think what I'll be intrigued about is whether or not the Leicester fans have bought into the media narrative around Rodgers and the David Brent and all that sort of stuff. Because if they haven't and they're willing to give him time, I think they'll really enjoy him. I think they'll really enjoy the sort of football he gets them playing. And he goes there with a hell of a lot of experience from Scotland. And it's dead easy to dismiss the Scottish Premiership as, with Scotland. But if that was the case, why isn't every manager who goes there going unbeaten with Celtic every season? Like, it's not that easy to do it, obviously.
As you've seen this season, when he's found it a bit harder.
Exactly, he's found it more tricky. Yeah. But also, I think that's as much to do probably with how do you remotivate players who've got an entire season unbeaten and won everything there is to win apart from a European trophy. How do you remotivate them? So I think it's a really good appointment if the fans are willing to give him time.
I think if he'd have done with AC Milan what he did with Liverpool and then goes to Celtic and does what he does with Celtic, then everybody's going, my God, isn't this stupidly exciting?
Yes, I think that's right.
And I think that's what's interesting about Rodgers, is that, the familiarity does breed contempt. That's one of the things that happens to all football managers, I'd say.
Yeah.
But I think he should genuinely, if I was a Leicester supporter today, knowing what I know and what you've seen from Rodgers, I'd be thinking, there's something in this.
Yeah, and I think whatever else you can say about his time during at Liverpool, he got us playing some brilliant football, like really exciting football, and it wasn't just Suarez, because he did that at the start of 13-14 when Suarez was suspended for eating a fella. So you've got like all of that sort of thing as well. That they have got because one of the big reasons that Puel's got sacked isn't so much his results. The big reasons Puel's got been sacked is because the football's been dreadful.
Yeah.
So if to bring him in now and actually watch exciting football, well, that's what you've been complaining about for ages. So
the target should be 60 points a season, I'd say, for Leicester. Maybe a cup run. Maybe take advantage of Arsenal or Chelsea slip.
Yeah.
Maybe do this. All these exciting young players.
Yeah.
I think that it should be them Wolves and Everton should be duking it out. We'll come on to talk about Watford in a minute, but them Wolves and Everton should be duking it out for that 7th place slot. And then the idea of a season like this, where if Chelsea go off a cliff or Arsenal go off a cliff, you're there to take advantage.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that the funny thing for Leicester that messes with everything for them is that league win.
Yeah.
Because if you, I know it sounds mental if you take that out, but if you take that out, they basically fought relegation, got away with it, was mid-table a little bit, and they've been mid-table. But that league win means that they're sort of going, wait, what are we? Are we rubbish, or are we actually really good? Because I don't quite know. So it throws everything out of whack, doesn't it?
There's a catchment area issue too, where they want to expand the stadium, they want to play stuff that gets people in, but also there aren't many teams around Leicester, and I mean that geographically. Wolverhampton Wanderers aren't too far away, but you've got those classic Midland sides, Villa, Birmingham, West Brom. They're all now down. Stoke, even if you wanted to include them across that strip, that swathe across the middle of England, they've actually got an opportunity there to be the dominant force, effectively between Watford and Liverpool in terms of geographically in the country.
Yeah, because the people who support Villa and Birmingham City and West Brom will always do that because it's the team that's right next to them. You're not really going to get that many that are going to suddenly be like, oh,
commute over.
I really want to drive over and watch Villa out of nowhere. They'll either have done it for life, like Prince William, obviously a massive Villa fan, or they'll. So in terms of getting a team that people are going to get excited about, you're right, they've got the ability to take control of that, and that is the sort of thing that Rodgers can do, because exciting football is what brings people to the ground, isn't it?
It is indeed. We had a lovely long chat. I say lovely, it wasn't that lovely because it was about Manchester United 0, Liverpool 0. A game of football at best described as odd, in actuality described as fucking crap, and it took place on Sunday, but we had a lovely chat about that on our free show, which you should watch if you haven't already, or listen to through the Anfield app. But anyway, here's a clip from it, hopefully to whet your appetite. My disappointment from the game is it wasn't David De Gea man of the match. It wasn't Liverpool laying waste to a Manchester United goal when they showed that vulnerability. It was a game that just kept breaking down on the edge of the Manchester United final third, and that's where decision making wasn't quite where you wanted it to be from Liverpool.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the nerve shot. What I do agree is I think they may be trying too hard, trying to be a little bit too precise, trying to make sure. I buy the arguments that if United were stronger, we probably made more of a game of it. It's almost that expectation. Sometimes United are weak. They had the injuries. We just need to, and that can get on top of them a little bit. Like they're almost expected to go and push on now. I think also United were not forced, but because of the way the game went, it was almost reverted to a Mourinho-esque United performance as opposed to what we've seen.
But they had 6 minutes past the 18 yards.
I mean, look, it's one of them. Is that we said before the game, so it's not hindsight. You take a point, but it was the nature of the point. It's two very, very, very different things, I think. I think it has to go down as a missed opportunity, but it is what it is. It's just for me there's a little bit of confirmation bias in there, in so much as all the little fears at the back of your head which you've been ignoring suddenly start creeping in, and they manifest themselves and get bigger and bigger and bigger with every point dropped. And I think the trick with that is almost trying to find a way to dismiss them.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I hope I came across well on that clip. I don't even know which clip it is, but I bet you I talk loads of sense. I'm back with Adam. I want to talk about Watford briefly, but before then, Red All Over the Land will be getting sold outside the ground at Watford, so you know where to get it from. If you're coming into the ground, you can buy Red All Over the Land. Feel free to get involved with that. It's an excellent fanzine. It's good to see fanzine still going. Also a shout for the food banks as ever. If you go into Anfield and you've got the opportunity to do so, do consider taking something down to them. I'd recommend the van at the back of Anfield Road. The purple van there is the place to go to for that. Watford it's a must-win in that Liverpool play now 9 of the sides who are in the top 6. We've got Chelsea and Tottenham to come. If you put Chelsea and Tottenham to one side, we've got 9 other games, and the job for Liverpool, I would argue, between now and the end of the season is to win all 9. If Liverpool win all 9, I think we'll be champions.
Yes, I agree. I think The problem we've got, I think, is that it feels like now any dropped points is a disaster. And the tricky thing is that's not quite true, because obviously at this point, right now, as we speak, to win the league, Liverpool need to match City's results. And I don't think City are going to win every one of the remaining games. So that gives you a little bit of leeway. Now, do we need that leeway for Tottenham and Chelsea? Maybe. Are we more likely to need that leeway in saying, do you know what, given how much Everton are going to be absolutely desperate for us to take points off us, is leaving Goodison with a draw okay? It doesn't feel like it, obviously, for every reason ever, including it being Everton. But I think in terms of City are going to drop points, yeah, it probably is okay to leave one of the matches with a draw. But if we want to win the league without it being maybe down to the last day, or if we want to win the league without it being dependent on somebody else messing up, then beating the 9 teams that are significantly worse than us becomes important.
The way we do that, I would argue, is possibly through goals. I've always argued Liverpool need to outperform either goals for or goals against, and I've always thought it would be goals for. There's an argument, and it's one that you can really make, that, you know, if Liverpool concede fewer than 20 this season, which is very possible, they're currently on play 27, conceded 15. If Liverpool concede fewer than 20, that is massively outperforming a reasonable expectation, even for a title-winning side, in terms of goals against. So it could be that Liverpool can 1-0 their way through this. I think, though, even as part of ensuring you concede as few goals as possible, we need to attack a bit better.
Definitely. I think the biggest concern for me right now is the lack of fluidity in the attack, and we saw it in Bayern Munich and we saw it against Manchester United, because there were opportunities there where the right pass is pretty much a goal, and we couldn't find the right pass, and that is the one bit that worries me, and I don't quite know how you get out of that, because I don't think we were attacking that well either against Leicester, which was understandable because the weather, you know, is a mitigating factor. West Ham, didn't think we attacked that well against West Ham either. Bournemouth, great, attacked well, and everyone sort of went, oh, you know, it's okay, we're back on track. But you forget that Eddie Howe's Bournemouth are compliant to Liverpool and City and the likes of them, and it was always going to be a game where we'd score a few goals because they just let you. So I think getting that attack firing again is the key, if we can do it, because even when we've been without big chunks of the defensive unit, we haven't actually look like conceding goals, really. So defensively, look, we will concede between now and the end of the season. But if you could, as you say, if we can keep that down to say 5 goals across all those 11 games, that's great, as long as the attack is firing, and that's the only thing I'm worried about at the minute.
But I also think if the attack is firing, you're going to push opposition sides back. They're going to be trying to do less. My worry at the minute is that, for instance, I think Watford get to come to Anfield having just scored 5 and be a bit like, you know what, we can have a go here. Whereas it might be if we've just scored 5, for instance, not even against Man United, to be thinking, right, we don't want to get made a show of. My worry is that I think you've got to have that we don't want to get made a show of thing. And at the minute, I don't think we look like we're going to make a show of you, and that concerns me.
Yeah, and I think the problem is, on the one hand, you think it will play into our hands if Watford come and attack, because it will open up the spaces. But on the other hand, we're not that strong in the attacking sense just at the minute to mean it will necessarily be able to take advantage of those spaces, and the likes of Troy Deeney can cause you problems, because we've seen him do it time and again. So it's a tricky one of how I want Watford to turn up. I think I don't know how I want them to play.
We'll worry about that to come. The expectation is that Trent and Kaiser will be back in for Watford. We'll have more on that coming up. We've got the Team Talk show coming up. The Friday show is out today as well. The manager's doing his press conference after we record this in the sunshine. So if you want to subscribe to the Anfield Wrap, it's theanfieldwrap.com/subscribe. £5 a month for that. And also, we're coming to Ireland 23rd to the 25th of March. The tickets are nearly sold out, so if you want to get yourself down for that, we'd love that during the international break. 3 massive parties across Ireland. Really can't wait for that. Thank you very much to Adam. You know how to subscribe, you know all the business, and you know one thing, Liverpool do it against Watford, and then we just go from there. It works like this now. Liverpool win all their games, they're absolutely fine. But like Adam, I don't think they'll need to win all of them. There's more to come on that.